So I'm working on a book that's provisionally entitled The Fanatic and the Last Man: How to Find Meaning in a Nihilistic Age. So it's a sort of trade book aimed at a general audience rather than strictly at philosophers, which is what all of my previous books have been directed toward. So I'm excited about it. It's a book that starts with an idea from Nietzsche. He says that in the next couple of hundred years after when he lived, which was late 19th century, that society is going to fracture into these two groups, which he called the fanatic and the last man. So fanatics, it's easy to understand what that is. Fanatics are these rigid, ideological people who are committed to some goal or some cause. They tend to be closed-minded, not open to alternative points of view, sort of firmly convinced that their values and their way of life is the only correct one. So that's one side, the fanatic. And then the other side is a little trickier, the thing that Nietzsche calls the last man. These are people who don't have passionate commitments, who do tend to be more open-minded, who are open to competing perspectives on things like ideals and values and political commitments. But Nietzsche thinks that precisely because of that open-mindedness, their commitments tend to dissipate. They tend to be less robust. And Nietzsche basically thought that some features of the modern age would lead society to split into those two factions. The thing that he was most interested in was the way in which traditional sources of authority, things like traditional religious ideals, traditional political ideals, traditional moral systems, he thought were beginning to break down, not in the sense that no one believes in them anymore, but in the sense that there are so many different ones that it seems like we're free to commit ourselves to one or to choose some other one. So this book that I'm working on explores some pathologies of the modern age and asks whether we're really doomed into this choice, neither side of which looks appealing, right? So you can be passionate and committed at the price of being fanatical and closed-minded, or you can be open-minded, attentive to like the richness of the world and the diversity of perspectives, but then find your strong commitments evaporating or being dissolved by reflection. And what I'm interested in exploring is whether there's sort of a third way. I try to argue, drawing on some of my earlier work, that there's this phenomenon that I call devotion that combines a strong form of commitment with the possibility of open-minded. Well, I'm a philosopher, so my research project probably looks a little odd to most people. It basically consists of reading lots of books, sitting alone or walking alone and thinking, reflecting on ideas, trying to think about what grounds things like our values and our commitments. And then what I do is I just think about them. I sit down and write. I usually discard multiple drafts of whatever it is that I'm writing, so there are tons of things that don't make it into the final stages, but it's just a process of thinking and writing and reading and reflecting. I think it's really wonderful that we have this opportunity to just have the space for sustained reflection and sustained work on projects. But I'm also looking forward to interacting with the other people who have this fellowship. So especially given that I'm trying to write this book for a general audience, it's really valuable to have the opportunity to see what people from other disciplines make of it and how they react to it. You know, most of the times when I present my work, it's just to other philosophers, and that's one audience that has one sort of set of concerns and reactions to the things that I talk about. But I'm really curious to see how people who are not philosophers but are engaged in other forms of humanistic inquiry will respond to the stuff that I'm presenting. Plus, it's just very nice to see what other people are working on.